how our technique was used to characterize SEI formation and a known amount of metal migration in a very promising battery chemistry, which is lithium metal anodes. So this is work that is done with our customer at SLAC or the SLAC National Accelerator Lab, the DOE lab that is on Stanford's campus, and specifically the group at SSRL, which stands for the Stanford Synchrotron Radiation Light Source. And for those of you who are familiar with this facility, you know that as part of the synchrotron, they have a ton of very powerful analytical techniques, most of which are X-ray based, that have a lot of powerful abilities on morphology and transition metal analysis. A lot of work has been done on this specific chemistry type on the transition metal migration. But what those techniques struggle with is reliably measuring lithium. And so that's where our LALI-TOF-MS technique very well complements all of these capabilities at SSRL. So you can see this diagram on the right here, which was presented by our colleague, Eric Espinosa-Villatoro, at an SSRL users meeting last year. And many of you may be familiar with this particular battery chemistry. The combination of lithium metal anode with a high nickel layered oxide cathode has a lot of promise. It can be have much greater energy density than some of the traditional lithium-ion chemistries, but we also know that it's not quite commercial yet. And as we've mentioned, there are limitations with some of these conventional characterization techniques to fully understand the stability of the lithium metal anode and how these transition metal migration might be impacting the SEI layer, solid electrolyte interface layer. So what you're looking at on this slide is just a preview of a manuscript that is in preparation right now. You can see the title on the bottom of the slide here, and so I encourage you to keep an eye out for when this manuscript is published, because there's a lot more information that's included in this manuscript, especially including kind of how dopants have been explored in order to mitigate some of this transition metal migration. But the key point that I want to identify here is how LALI-TOF-MS is helpful in identifying not only the metallic constituents that were also seen with some of the X-ray techniques, but also these SEI constituents. So what you're looking at here is two lithium metal anode samples, one of which had only undergone one cycle, the other of which had undergone 100 cycles. And when I play these videos, you'll see these different lithium species that our colleague Eric has interpreted as representing both the inorganic constituents, so mostly the oxide species, as well as some of the organic constituents of the SEI. So wherever you see lithium combining with hydrogen or carbon, for example, those represent the organic constituents of the SEI. So first, I'm going to play the video from the one cycle sample. So you can see, this is mostly a lithium metal anode. We see that lithium combined with hydrogen populating in one area, the lithium combined with oxygen in another area. But overall, we don't see a super dense SEI formed quite yet after this one cycle. So again, noticing how the different constituents are distributed, as well as fluorine, which you see in pink, which was also identified here. I should also point out that these were more on the surface. These analyses were done with 5 layers on each of these samples. And now I'll play you the video of the 100 cycle sample. So this is the same analysis, the same 1.5 millimeter area done with 5 layers. But what we're identifying here is as we start to see these different species that are representing the SEI, we see a much denser SEI has formed after this 100 cycles has occurred. So we're seeing, once again, kind of a difference in where the inorganic versus the organic species are concentrating, but overall, a denser picture of SEI formation after this 100 cycle sample. And then eventually we see also where that where the nickel migration is concentrating as well. So again, not going to reveal all of the findings of this study. There's lots more information included in this paper, especially with some other samples that have dopants in them to try to mitigate this transition metal migration. But yeah, once again, just providing that picture of how this technique can complement the other analytical techniques and identify things that are not easily identified with those other techniques, and very impactful for SEI studies on these new promising battery chemistries.